Hello, dears. This is Edith from Step Into Your Brilliance. In this following video, Gregg Braden shares with us the breathtaking research that shows us what extraordinary abilities we humans are gifted with. He guides us through a meditation that lets us experience what it feels like to tap into this potential. When we achieve through this meditation that our heart and brain vibrates coherently, it not only strengthens our immune system extraordinarily, even stress in our body dissolves, and we can use this frequency 0.1 Hz that arises in this state in us to heal not only ourselves but also Mother Earth. Is this not exactly that what we need now? So please sit down and enjoy this good news and the meditation.
Eyes as a scientist, as I run across these discoveries in the obscure peer-reviewed journals that are often very technical in nature, discoveries that are relegated to these journals and specific segments of the scientific population, discoveries that you typically will not see in the mainstream. You don't see this stuff in mainstream classrooms and textbooks. Many of the discoveries are so new. I have medical students and medical doctors in my seminars asking me, why don't we see this information in the universities? Why don't we know about these discoveries? And the answer is because it often takes years for the discoveries to trickle down from the research labs and the research papers into the application of everyday life, of everyday medicine. It can take 6, 8, 10 years for this to happen. And that's why I want to share this information with you today, because for the 30 plus years that I've offered this content in my workshops and seminars and books and tapes and audios and videos and television programs and interviews and now podcasts, I've often referenced a discovery that was made in 1991 regarding the human heart. This discovery that I often embed into those larger programs, I want to isolate it and bring it to you right now because I think it's something that you can benefit from right now. I say that because I benefit from it every single day of my life, and I have for over 30 years. This is the discovery that was made in 1991, published in 1994, the discovery of approximately 40,000 specialized cells in the human heart. They're called sensory neurites. They're essentially brain-like cells, but they're not in the cranial brain. Now, when I say they were discovered in 1991, they were always there. It's perhaps more accurate to say they were recognized in 1991, but they've been with us from the time that we emerged as anatomically modern humans onto this planet. And we know this because when we compare our genome today, the DNA in our bodies, with the DNA that we can now extract from the fossilized remains of our ancient ancestors, what we find is that the genome hasn't changed, that we've had these capabilities from the time that we emerged on this planet. So this ability that I'm going to share with you appears to be fundamental to our existence. We're simply now awakening and growing in to the capability of its existence and what it can mean in our lives. All right? So the discovery, 1991, 40,000 specialized cells in the human heart, forming a neural network that thinks, feels, remembers independently of the cranial brain. Now, right there, this is so important because it means every experience that we have in life is registered in two places, in our cranial brain and in the neural network in our heart. If they're good experiences, no worries. Often we have experienced trauma in our lives, and we each interpret that trauma a little bit differently. An experience that may traumatize one person may not be interpreted as trauma to another person. And there are some experiences that are so painful universally, they are traumatic experiences. And when we go to heal those experiences through counseling and through therapy, Often the counseling and therapy addresses the cranial memories, and that helps, and that's important. But often we feel like something's missing, and when we feel that, what I'm saying to you, what I'm sharing with you may be the answer as to why that is, because the cranial therapies may not address the therapies or the memories that we hold in our heart. So this is a very, very powerful understanding that we have two independent neural networks. Here's where it gets really interesting, and this is going to lead directly into what I'm going to share with you in just a few moments. You and I are the only form of life that we know of today that has the ability to self-regulate our biology in very precise ways. We are such advanced, such highly sophisticated biological systems, what is often called soft technology. We're not talking about computer chips and wires and chemicals. We're talking about neurons and cell membranes and crystalline bone functioning in our bodies in very, very powerful and profound ways that we can self-regulate through thought, feeling, emotion, belief, breath, focus. And if those all sound familiar to you, they happen to be the principles preserved in some of our most ancient and cherished indigenous and spiritual traditions. And I think this is why they were preserved in the ways that they have been, because they hold such a powerful potential in our bodies. Science is only beginning to understand, recognize, and embrace this potential. So the ability to harmonize the heart and the brain, the ability to harmonize the cranial network with the network in the heart. This neural network, this is what is available to you and to me in a way that's available to no other form of life, consciously, at will, and on demand. You and I are the only form of life that we can sit down in a chair like this in a moment in time or wherever you are and say, in this moment, I choose to harmonize the neural network in my heart and my brain, two separate organs, but we harmonize them into one potent system in our bodies. And once we do that, we open the door to a vast array of applications that I talk about in all the work that I do, the books, the tapes, the seminars, the workshops. I don't want to do that today. What I want right now is I want you to have the access to this technique, because it is one of the most profound techniques to relieve stress very, very quickly. You and I are stressed every day of our lives through the uncertainty of what lies ahead, the uncertainty of finances, of jobs, of careers, of relationships, of where to live, how to live, what's happening to our country, whatever country you live on, what's happening to the planet, because we all live on this planet. That uncertainty triggers a level of stress, a chronic level of stress that depletes the biology, it depletes nutrients, and it compromises our immune system. If you ever needed a strong immune system, man, I can't think of a better time than right now in the midst of a global pandemic. However you think about that pandemic, it is taxing your immune system through stress right now. So let's get into this. I want to just give you a little context so that you know this is not a metaphor, this isn't make-believe. I want you to see what you're accessing, and then let's go through this exercise together. So the first thing that I'd like to share with you is an image of precisely what it is that we're talking about and what we're going to be dealing with, what we're going to be accessing within our hearts. What you're seeing on the screen are called intrinsic cardiac neurons. These are the neurons that we have access to in our heart that also can communicate with our brain through principles of self-regulation that we're actually going to do together here in just a few moments. But I want you to see this so that you know that we're not talking about a metaphor or a make-believe or a wishful concept. You know, so often in literature and in our history, when we talk about the heart, it's from a very lofty philosophical perspective, and it's good. And the heart fulfills those lofty philosophical ideals. But what I'm talking to you about right now is rock solid science. This is peer-reviewed science. These are the neurons located in the heart that form the neural network. The image that you're seeing now, all of those little blue dots illustrate where this neural network is. this begins to tell the whole story. Look at where this neural network is. It's not at the bottom of the heart, it's at the top, near the places, number one, where the valves open and close to send the blood into our bodies, and number two, where the arteries and the vessels enter the heart so that the blood can come into the heart or leave the body. These neurons are around those specific places. Now, the way that the valves open and close send a pressure wave through the blood that is a language unto itself. Your heart speaks a language to your body through the pressure wave that is created every time the heart beats, and that pressure wave tells the body, it sends a signal, and it tells the body what kind of chemistry to release into the body, whether it's a stressful chemistry or if you're feeling safe, it's a healing and rejuvenating chemistry, or it tells the body what kinds of hormones need to be addressed and how to address those, all from the way that the valve is opening and closing, and that valve opening and closing is largely regulated through these neurons, and the neurons are responding to you and the way that you feel about yourself, about your relationship to the world. If you feel safe, if you feel threatened, if you feel a sense of well-being, or if you feel a sense of high anxiety, chronic anxiety, with no way to reconcile that anxiety. So that is one function of these sensory neurites near the valves. They're doing the same thing near the arteries, the blood that enters, the blood that leaves. These are regulating blood pressure and the way that blood is flowing in the body. You and I live in a stressful world. Our world is changing, as I mentioned earlier, and we're not being given any way to reconcile the stress. We're not given any sense of where the change is leading. All we know is that what we used to know in the past is gone, and we're in the middle of some event that is changing our families, our communities, our society, our nations. It's changing the way we work. It's changing the way we think about money, about security, all of that. But we're not really being given a way to reconcile that so that we have relief from the stress. That's why I want to share this technique with you, because you and I are going to self-regulate our body to give our bodies relief from the stress within, even though nothing may have changed in the world around us to give us that relief. This is a very, very high form of mastery. When you can find relief from a stressful world, even though the stressful world is still out there. It's a very, very high form of mastery. So I want you to see that we're dealing with something that is real. New scanning technologies now make this even more real. What you're going to see is a three-dimensional scan of the human heart where this neural network resides. So what you're seeing right now, this is the scan. I love this technology. And the yellow that you see near the top of the heart, this is where the neural networks, or the neural network of the sensory neurites resides. I'm going to highlight it for you right there. You can see it. So this is important, because once you see this, you cannot unsee it. Once you see this, you have a sense that you're dealing with something real, and that you are communicating with a physical part of your body that simply is not acknowledged in the mainstream. Typically, that's beginning to change. But most high school and college textbooks are not talking about this neural network in the way that we are. So now that you know what we're dealing with, how do we use it? How is it applied? You are the only form of life. You and I, we're in this together. We're the only form of life with the ability to consciously self-regulate the neurons in the heart and how they communicate with the neurons in the brain. We are the only form of life that can take the neural network of the heart and the brain, two separate organs, but harmonize this neural network into a single potent system in our bodies. And this is where our highest levels of mastery begin. Because once we create this harmonized state, it opens the door to a plethora, a vast array of potentials and possibilities that are the subject of my books and tapes and videos and audios and workshops beyond the scope of what I'm going to talk about here. Right here, I just want you to have the technique so that you can relieve the stress at least once a day, maybe multiple days or multiple times throughout your day. So what we're talking about visually, two organs, the heart and the brain, but look at this, becoming a single system by sending the correct signal from the heart and the brain, establishing a link, a very low frequency link, 0.1 hertz, really, really low frequency. When we can set up a relationship, send a signal between our heart and our brain of 0.1 hertz, we establish this harmony. All right, now I just have to do this because I am a geologist, and the geologist in me wants you to know why 0.1 hertz is so important. You know, why isn't it A440 for the musicians? I'm a musician, you know, it's one of the questions I asked. Why not A440, or why not some other frequency? 0.1 hertz is a very, very important frequency on this planet. So what you're seeing is a cross-section of the magnetic fields of the Earth. And when we look at what are called the magnetic field line resonance frequencies, I don't want to get really technical, but I want you to see that this is real. What you're seeing is a graph of these field line resonant frequencies. The first spike where the red arrow is, the frequency, it's not 0, it's not 0.2. Look at this, it's 0.1. That first spike is the primary field line resonance frequency of the planet we live on. What that means is that when we harmonize our heart and our brain to that frequency, not only are we harmonizing the systems within us, we are harmonizing our system to the bigger system of the planet we live on. Wow. That is where your healing begins. When you bring your heart and your brain and your biological systems and your organs and your cells and your glands into alignment with the fundamental frequency of the system of our planet, that is where your healing begins. This is where you find your power. Now, if we lived on another planet, someone asked me once, yeah, it would probably be a different frequency. But right now we're on Earth, and 0.1 hertz is the frequency that we want to harmonize to. So when we harmonize our body, and this is I love this image, not only are we harmonizing the systems within us, we're harmonizing ourselves to the planet we live upon. In a very real sense, 0.1 hertz is love to your body. When you create this harmony between your heart and your brain and align your systems, you are loving yourself in a language that your body, your biology recognizes, and that love is now extending. You're harmonizing yourself. You're loving Mother Earth. This is a very, very powerful technique. 3 very basic steps that we're going to use. I'm going to talk you through them. Again, with permission from the Institute of Heart Math, their science parallels so many of the traditions that I've found in studying and living with indigenous peoples today, as well as in the literature of the ancient and the forgotten peoples of our past that recorded the techniques of how they achieve these high levels of harmony. Because when you do this, this is when you relieve the stress. This is when you enhance your immune response. This is when you trigger the longevity enzymes that allow for regeneration, rejuvenation, and healing, and so much more we talk about in the other programs. So let's do this together. I'm going to invite you to share this with me. And please do this only if you're in a place that's safe. Do not do this if you are driving any kind of machine or operating any heavy machinery. Please do not do this. Find a place that is safe, where you can allow your focus 100% to move to yourself without having being worried about what's happening in the world around you. So we're going to shift our focus from our mind to our heart. We're going to slow our breathing, and we're going to create a very specific feeling. And I'm going to talk you through each of these right now. So you won't need any notes or pencil and paper. Let's just do this together if you have not already done so. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and allow your awareness to move from the world around you to the world within you, and I'm going to do the same thing right here. Allow your awareness to move from your outer world to your inner world. And the first step is to shift your focus from your thinking mind into your feeling heart. One of the ways that scientists have found to help us achieve this is exactly what our indigenous ancestors and ancient traditions invite us to do, and that is to simply touch your heart in a way that's comfortable for you, with a finger or two fingers or a full hand or an open palm, whatever's comfortable for you. And allow your awareness to go to the place where you feel that sensation, where you feel that touch. This is the first step. And everything we do for the next two steps will reflect this focus. It will all happen as if the focus is coming from the heart. It's all about the heart. Second step, I'm going to invite you to slow your breathing. Just a little bit slower than you would typically breathe. And I know that's different for everyone. So the key is to exhale for a period of time that is longer than the inhale. Exhale for a period of time longer than the inhale. The reason for this is because this is a language to the vagus nerve and the parasympathetic nervous system telling your body that you are safe. So for ease, I'm going to recommend maybe 5 seconds on the inhale and 8 seconds on the release. And you can tailor this to whatever it is that you need to do. With your awareness in your heart, I'm going to invite you to breathe in for 5 seconds with me. Begin. And release for 8. And just feel that shift in your body. Inhale again on 5 seconds. Release for 8. And let's do this again. 5 seconds. Inhale. Release. To the best of your ability, if you can continue to breathe just about that pace, or whatever pace works for you, breathing in slower than you would typically breathe and releasing, allowing your release time to be longer than the inhale. The second step. The third step is where we send this very powerful signal from our heart to our brain, 0.1 hertz. What scientists have found is that when we can feel the feelings of well-being, of gratitude, appreciation, care, compassion, positive life-affirming feelings, these are the kinds of heart-based feelings that establish this low-frequency link to the human brain. 0.1 hertz is the optimum frequency. For convenience, just to make this easy and universal for all of us, I think it's probably easy for all of us to feel gratitude. Whatever's happening in the world, we all know it could be worse. It could be worse in our lives. I'm deeply grateful for the opportunity to be with you here in this way today, sharing a part of our days by remembering this primal, this ancient and primal, uniquely human experience to give ourselves healing and life, no matter what's happening in the world around us. So I'm going to invite you with me, to the best of your ability. Let's feel that feeling of gratitude. And I'm going to give you a minute to do this. It will seem like longer, but if we can do this for 1 minute, and then we'll come back and talk about this experience, okay? So to the best of your ability, continue to breathe as if your breath is coming from your heart, slowing that breath. And while you are slowing the breath, feel that gratitude just breathe in and release those feelings of gratitude. With me, begin. And you might actually, in your mind, say, thank you for my life. Thank you for the life and the safety of my friends and my loved ones. Those are all things that we could be deeply grateful for right now. Just feel those waves of gratitude as they ripple through your body from your heart. I'm doing the same thing.
So I hope the content of this video has excited you. I really recommend you to make this heart-brain coherence a routine in your life. I have been doing this myself for years. It only takes a few minutes and the effect is great. Some of my clients whom I have shown this technique are also thrilled with the effects in their body and psyche. I am happy if you share this video, or if you leave me a comment or a like, and if you subscribe my channel. See you. Bye.